Now, TiiQu Talks is an initiative of TiiQu. The company is all around the trust into individuals. We think that the more we facilitate people to come together and talk and co-create, the more we will continuously create new knowledge. So one of the latest initiatives is Cupedia, a non-profit platform that allows to convert knowledge into questions, submit questions to everyone, and facilitate everyone to measure their skills and their ability, and possibly access to opportunities. So if you are curious, just join or drop a message if you want to contribute. This is absolutely welcome. And well, without any further delay, I would leave the stage to Alex, who will be introducing the topic of today. And yes, Alex, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Laura. Hi, everyone. It's exciting to start our 1 hour, half hours exciting journey to the metaverse. And thank you for attending for this afternoon, or this maybe all morning, depending on your time zone. Okay, so first I will share my screen. So okay, so I'll first introduce our general topic, especially the agenda of today. And as you can see here, I try to design this webinar to gather together all the aspects of the metaverse at this time or in the future, and then try to cover all the essential topic, and then like applications. For example, you see that we want to see that whether it's the current status in the future of the metaverse, and then we're going to have any application for the business new opportunities. So I see that recently there are nearly all the industry application is now going on. So you can see the media, advertising, healthcare, education, retail, in every aspect we can discuss about today. And then also it is an exciting topic. It's a really hot topic about the economic. This is a new economics of the metaverse based on usually they call creative economy or the virtual economy. The call I call in integrated with the metaverse economy. So it's like NFT, DeFi, Web3, like decentralization, like DAO, commerce. In every aspect of the hot topic we will cover under this topic. And then also like they will provide a new experience, and so user experience is really important for the metaverse. And then what kind of technology like you may imagine, like the XR devices or the web device, like a 3D engine or something, like what kind of the like technologies are available for the providing these immersive experiences. And then mostly maybe this will be the interesting topic, whether in the future who will be inner, like with big tech, like a Meta, changing from the Facebook. He mentioned that the metaverse will be the everyday life device, like XR device, and everybody enjoying the metaverse lifetime in 5 to 10 years, like we enjoy the smartphone and the mobile web, something like that. But we'll be the inner, and then we will think about in practically how we can actually implement and whether it is implementable, because Laura, they give the coin like ever will happen, right? So it'll be a very good, relevant question today. So we focus on it. And then most importantly, in the security safety in metaverse. So we have several experts in this area. So we'll talk about these issues also. And then I'm excited to introduce our 4 distinguished like speaker today. So they will talk about individual topic for relevant our agenda, and then also they will join together after their individual talk, and then we will discuss about the in general aspect, or we will also get the question from the audience, and then we'll get that answer if it is possible. Okay, so we are going to have a full distinct speakers. So Jordan and then Caroline and Miles and then Dieter will present their individual presentation in order, and then after they will join us discussion. And then I think that they will introduce themselves for detail in their individual discussion and then in their presentation. Okay, so I want to set the stage because the metaverse is so broad. So I want to give you a very broad but the unified view, so that actually you can focus on what is the relevant topic for the metaverse, and then what will be the current status in the futures. And then Laura is actually already share this material, right? Because you will have I assume that you will have a copy, because I have a lot of the content inside, and then generally my experience that I try to deliver you as many information as possible, but it is a very tough job to for example, here I 1-page summary of the whole metaverse space is very tough job to me, but somebody complain me too much. So that's I tried to them, because I brief talk with Jordan. My background is astrophysics as a PhD, so I'm very expertise in the looking at the complex phenomena and make simplify. So I tried to simplify metaverse as far as I can go, but because there is so much information, so I hope that you will see in detail later in the material that we provided. So I'm going to just give you just only the essential part. So you can see that you currently look at the majority talk about what is metaverse. They talk about almost here. It's a purely virtual experience. So for example, Roblox, and then decentralized, and you will hear about a lot of the virtual space application you heard about. I'm going to introduce in the next slide. And then also here is a space about connecting with your web in the decentralized way, you call it Web3, or you can have your asset and your game artifact, whatever you want to be the asset, and then you want to trade or sell or create using the NFT. This is a space, but this is one aspect of the metaverse. But actually, the metaverse will be more and more the interact with your real space. So it's not just for the virtual space. So more and more real space will be joined to your virtual space. For example, in the Roblox, you will join as an avatar, and others will be joined as their avatar. And the people will interact in the virtual space, but it will be you in the real space. So they will join. And also in the real estate, the selling is not just purely virtual. It can be related to your actual real estate. So it'll be a more realistic. It can be connected. And then also you already know about the real life, virtual can be interact augmented. Here is a virtual reality, so real entities will show up in the virtual space. So more and more a real space will be joined, and then we call augmented virtuality. So it means that the virtual space will be augmented by the real space. So you will experience not just for the purely virtual, they will be integrated with the real experience, real space. And then you will more go there, and then more another type of the virtuality. For example, digital twins, you have a middle world. So this world with the virtual, but they are completely synchronized with your real space. We call the digital twin. The way actually that there is a real-time data flow, so they connect is a real-time data flow. So there will be the physical twin, exactly the virtual twin, and there is a mirror space. And then the meta horizon work, it is more complex. You will combine with a virtuality and then reality, and then also other combined reality will be the join here. So more and more complexes will be the all type of reality join in the future. So you will see that future direction will be go this way. And then also here, real space, not just for the virtual space, the real space will be joined by the virtual space. One typical example is augmented reality. You already know about it. So you're using the XR device, a mixed real, augmented reality device. So you can see that your virtual space will join to your real space. And then also you have for example, mixed reality. is in between like a real and virtual, and there is a mix, right? And then in the future will be here. Final journey will be completely joined. One example, movie. Yeah, here is like for example the like Ready Player One, right? And Matrix, right? And then this guy, right, is a guy. He always confused about whether he's in the real space or virtual space, right? He confused, right? Because they are completely mingled, right? They will completely join. So we will be in the future. I'm not sure whether we will have ever happen, but like in the Matrix space, but we will have something that mingle with like a real space and virtual space completely merging. And then no, like you cannot imagine, you cannot be recognized whether you're in virtual and real space, complete immersion. Okay, so that kind of thing you will be need some kind of the networking. So for example, not just for the Web3 will be extended from the like for example IoT is every entity in the IoT is a real entities will be connected in the real space, and then we will move into the like a virtual space. Every virtual things will be connected, and then in the digital twin space they will also join, right? And then decentralized. This will be the in the future goal in the network wise completely often decentralized virtual and real space connected together completely. So this will be the vision of that. So you will see that. And then what kind of technology we need? Yeah, we need a lot of the nearly all aspects of IT, telecom, and then software, and then in the digital. So we need the reality technology and AI, and then 5G, spatial computing, digital twins, and blockchain, and Web3, and then like Unity and 3D modeling, all kind of the innovation should be work together. So we need to wait some time to they will fully grown to support our vision of from starting this one to up to here, fully emerges like a fully mingled real and virtual space. So you need to have in mind this will be the future vision, but still we need to be in the city in the like in the real life, and then we need to realize what how will be enabled and what will be possible, what will not be possible in the future. Okay, so I'm not talking about I'm not going to talk about everything, but you already know. I'm just show that we are already in metaverse, right? Because some are limited, right? Because every passion, you know about it, Nike, yeah, and like a brand, and then the retail, and then automotive, and the consumer electric entertainment, travel, a lot, right? Every aspect has kids, right? So I try to give you, but this is just one snapshot. I can see the hundred of the application now available. So it's real now. And then this is one example that the most important and interesting application is a metaverse store. So you will see a lot of the like stores often in the metaverse, like Roblox and the decentralized, and then there is like a brand, Nike brand, and other like a fashion brand, or the like consumer electric brand, or some other like even retail, like here. So it will give you the different experience, right? So this is the one way actually that you will have a different way to look at your economics, your business, right? It's a different experience. So I call it metaverse experience, and then they will give you the new opportunity. And also here is I'm thinking about the how actually the form in the future in the metaverse economic system. So here in the blockchain technology will be significantly lower here. So the avatars, you will join your commerce system, and then they will need some identity. So one example with the self-sovereign identity in the blockchain technology. Also, you can think about we need some currencies. So cryptocurrencies, you can imagine whether unified currency or the real money or whatever. Or maybe think about like a CBDC that is currently discussing all of the price. Or maybe we need some financial institution. You may have the JP Morgan, often the metaverse bank in their branch. Also, like we need some like good and then product. So we will be represented by the NFT. So value will be represented by NFT, or will be the represented by they're like a material entity, the represented by digital twin. And then they will commerce, right? There are a lot of the currency and create economics. And also here is one architecture that recently there were a lot of the interest in automotive like industry about the flying metaverse. So here is the current status. We can show the virtual showroom. You can bid it, and then you can try some your like a virtual car, and maybe you pay by the NFT, and then also we have a DeFi system, the financing and the like in the real life. So you have a like a virtual financing using DeFi, and then you will be transaction by the NFT and cryptocurrencies. And then in the virtual thing in the future, they will connect to your real life economic system. So once you have done here, it will be the realized in real space, and then you deliver. And even you can choose your options, like what kind of color, what kind of shape, or what kind of like interior you want your prefer your car, and then they will directly link to your metaverse, like the factory. It is now recently the like for Boeing, and also like some of the automotive Hyundai or the like a BMW, they mentioned that they will establish their factory in metaverse, and then they will connect to you. So they will be, and the product will be reflected by the your option, and then they will produce is customized, personalized for your needs, and then it will deliver to you, and then money will be paid back by your fiat currency. Okay, so this is the one actually that I want to talk with you about everything aspect of the thing. And then I will turn to my 4 distinct speakers, and then they will talk about their view and their like insight about the whole aspect of the metaverse. Okay, so I think that we can start from Jorden. Okay, I will start my sharing. Okay, so Jorden, it's now your turn.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks, Alex. That was very interesting, you know, kind of overview of where things are going. I'll go ahead and share my presentation. So wonderful. What I'm going to do is, that's kind of a vision of the future. And I think, you know, it's a very interesting vision. I want to take everybody kind of back into the past for a little bit. And that's where I think it's quite funny, because the topic title is Today, Tomorrow, or Never. And, you know, the metaverse has actually been around for a few decades, right, in different forms. And so I kind of want to talk a little bit about my journey into the metaverse, starting about 20 years ago, and then kind of move forward into, you know, why there was a gap, and you know, what has come into place. And Alex kind of talked about a lot of the different technologies that are coming into place to make the metaverse possible. But then there's kind of a choice moving forward. Are we going to go into a closed metaverse, which is kind of an extension of Web 2.0, which is kind of the world that we live in? Or are we going to go into an open metaverse, which is kind of the Web 3 version? And so I want to talk about, you know, what those choices are for us moving into the future, and you know, what it can look like, and what we need. So let's go back about 20 years. I was actually, you know, interested in starting my second company in 2001, 2002 timeframe. And I got introduced to the metaverse because I really wanted to build something that was going to be super scalable. I really wanted to push tech infrastructure as big as it could go. And I had been previously in enterprise computing, you know, building enterprise applications. And so I got together with quite a few of my friends, and I said, hey, where are things going, and what's the next big thing that I can do a company on? And everybody started talking about online worlds, right? And so what were online worlds at that time? Online worlds were places, there were video games. And if you remember back about 20 years, there were games like EverQuest. There was, I was playing Dark Ages of Camelot. There was Neverwinter Nights, Ultima Online. And these were places that you would go, you would meet up with friends, and you'd be in this 3D persistent online world. And so this 3D persistent online world was pretty exciting for quite a few people, because it gave this vision that you could go and you could live online, and you'd have, like Alex said, you'd have an avatar. And this has been going on for decades. And the exciting thing was, when you turned off your computer, that world still existed. It didn't go away, right? This is kind of the idea of being persistent. And these worlds had economies. You know, you could buy things, you could, you know, dress up your characters, you could go and, you know, there were expansions, there were new maps and things that you could go and see. So this was kind of my first view of these 3D persistent online worlds, which is really the basis for what we today call the metaverse. And this is a world that you can live in 3 dimensions online. So I started looking at that, and most of these worlds were really focused on combat. And I wasn't thinking that combat was really the only thing you could do in an online world. And so we started envisioning, okay, well, maybe the early version was going to be something that was going to be a video game, but then there was going to be something that was going to be more about some of these applications that Alex was talking about, like shopping, like, you know, going with friends to the movies, or, you know, going to school, going to university. And we've seen a lot of that obviously during the pandemic, but it hasn't been in 3 dimensions. And you could also have businesses, and they could run their operations and their meetings and things like this in virtual settings. And, you know, there's lots of different applications. Basically, you can take the entire world that we live in today and you could virtualize it, make it 3D, and you can make applications which are different worlds. And the exciting thing is that they don't need to be real worlds even. You could have, you know, a world that's in a different galaxy. You could have it, you know, on Mars. You could have it in the past. You could have it in the future. It could be something that doesn't exist and never has existed. So your imagination and your creativity can really create, you know, these different virtual worlds, and then people can go and then they can create stories within them. So that's kind of the basis for, you know, the metaverse. But, you know, the thing that I saw was, at that time there was a company called Second Life from Linden Labs, and they had this kind of very centralized view of what this future could look like. Everybody was going to go into this place, and, you know, there was going to be one world. And, you know, the Matrix had come out, and you know, Lord of the Rings, and that really wasn't very appealing to me. This was, you know, a very centralized kind of setting things up for being like a dystopia. And so I really went much more in a direction of being decentralized, that you'd have these different worlds that would be run and operated actually by the people in them. And so there was you know, if you're familiar with peer-to-peer computing, like with Napster and Kazaa and others, that was becoming very popular. So if you pair, you know, decentralized computing, which has now become blockchain and Web3, with this, you know, view of these online 3D worlds, that's really what we were building. And that's really the foundation for, you know, what is being known as the open metaverse. And so the open metaverse is a very different construct from Web 2. Web 2, you go to you log into a location like Facebook or Meta, or, you know, your bank account or whatever. And when you're there, all that information is owned by the business that you're interacting with, and you're just given access to it. If we start looking at a blockchain foundation, this really sets it up for having a decentralized foundation for online worlds. And what would you need? You need a secure source of truth. The information has to be trusted that is in this system, not the information from one party. In a Web 2.0 ecosystem like we have today, we trust a particular company to give us, you know, the correct information about our bank accounts or about whatever we're doing. But in a decentralized ecosystem, you don't have a single company. And in a decentralized open metaverse, you're going to be going through many, many different worlds. And so you have to have a secure source of truth that is outside of any one company. It has to be built up and universal. And there's a lot of untrusting parties, so you need to have these shared ledgers. So these different worlds can share information that you're going into. The other thing is you have to have automation of decentralized transactions. And as Alex pointed out, there's a tokenization of everything. So everything that, you know, from the payments to the actual things that you're wearing or the different interactions that you're doing, they're all going to be tokenized. And because it's open, it's all based on open source software. The other thing that's very important is that there's a blockchain ethos or an open metaverse ethos, which is very important. This is the idea that we own our data, because if you're going from place to place and it's completely open, there are no borders. Companies don't, you know, have your data. You have your data. You store it within your wallet. And the interactions are all peer-to-peer. They're decentralized. All of the different operations are community-driven. It's self-governing. This is the concept of a DAO. And there's power symmetry. All the different people, including us who make up the ecosystem, have the same information and the same ability to do things. This is a very different vision from a Web 2 ecosystem that we're in. This is the potential for the open metaverse, where actually we are not just own and can monetize our own data, but there are universal capabilities within the system like trust, truth, currency, etc., that everybody has access to that aren't owned by one or a few companies. So this is, again, the foundation for the open metaverse. And a big part of this, and it's been very exciting to see the waves of NFTs, because NFTs is this verifiable proof of ownership of a unique or a rare digital item, which isn't, you know, given to you or owned by a company, right? NFTs belong to whoever buys them, right? You are the owner, and it's verifiable using the blockchain. So this is a very key building block for the open metaverse. And so NFTs are critical. And of course, they're blockchain based. So there isn't a company telling you that you own this, you own it. And that can be verified using the blockchain. Now, we've seen these mostly as pictures, right? But as Alex was talking about, it's not really these pictures. This is an early version of what the metaverse needs. These 2D pictures are going to become 3D functional items that we're going to be using within, you know, the Web3 ecosystem. And this is from the avatars that we are going to have that embody us and, you know, us within different worlds. And we'll be able to use these across worlds, or you can have different avatars depending upon how you feel or what makes sense for that particular world that you're going to be in. But then there can be branded items, right? So you can purchase clothing, you can purchase cars, you can purchase houses, you can purchase appliances within the metaverse. And so it can become kind of like Sims. And the actual NFTs that we own and that we can have within our wallet wardrobe are wearable, right? So we can wear different clothes, different outfits within this open metaverse, and they belong to us. They don't belong to someone else, and we get access to them, and they are unique, right? They're something that makes our avatar and our person, like in the real world, unique when we walk around within it. So it becomes much more like how we see ourselves within the real world. That same capability, which doesn't exist in the online world, is going to go into the online world. And so this will really enable a lot more creativity and a lot more expression than we have today, which is very limited because there are a lot of toll gates and there's you know, restrictions on what is allowed and what's not allowed within different ecosystems. So now, if we look at you know, the transactions that can take place because transactions are going to be critical within this ecosystem. NFTs, again, are going to be very central, but there's going to be different business models around them, and there's going to be different ways that people can get paid or can monetize their different activities within the metaverse. And again, this is going to be an open system which isn't controlled by any single company, and it's going to give us a much more frictionless experience where we can go to many different worlds. We're not going to be logging into hundreds of different accounts over the course of a day. We are going to have a self-sovereign identity. We're going to have our wallets, which are going to have our different items that we can use in different locations. And so this vision gives us much more control and capability within the open metaverse, which is the Web3 vision versus the Web2 vision, where almost none of that exists, and it's going to be a continuation of these kind of siloed, controlled and restricted experiences that we have in the Web 2.0 world. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there as a vision for what is possible with Web 3 plus the metaverse, and how the open metaverse is going to enable a trillions of dollars of opportunity that we're only just scratching the surface of today. So yeah, so with that, I'd like to turn it back to Alex and the next speakers.
Thanks, Jordan. I think it will be very, very detailed, and then a very, very like in deeper level about the open metaverse. I think next time I'll be covering. It's your turn. Would you start your presentation?
Sure. Thank you, Alex, and thank you for having me. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I only have 2 slides. I am not a slide person in general, but Jordan, I loved your presentation. You said some things I definitely want to address. But hi, I'm Caroline McCaffery. I am the CEO and one of the co-founders of a company called ClearOPS. And back in December, I sent a LinkedIn post out to my network, and I said, is anyone interested in privacy and security in the metaverse? And I got a very strong reaction back. Now, in the meantime, I also did a Google search, and I said, in my Google search, I wrote privacy and security in the metaverse. And I got back a bunch of articles that said privacy and security in the metaverse is clearly an issue. We need to start talking about the issues. But there was no actual talk what the issues were. And so that, coupled with the LinkedIn post, I decided, being someone who's likes to get things done, I decided to go ahead and start the conversations. So I'm going to take you back for a second to when I was a teenager. My parents built a house when I was a teenager, and when they built it, my parents installed a tracker underneath the driveway. So every time a car went over that tracker, there was a notification that was sent to the home's computer that said, hey, a car drove over the driveway at this time. That's great security, right? I mean, it gives you really good comfort knowing who's been to your house and who hasn't. As a teenager, it's terrible for privacy, because if I'm coming home very late post curfew, my parents know exactly when I got in. And this is something that is really critical to understand when it comes to privacy and security in the metaverse. Sometimes you have to trade off privacy in exchange for security. Now, what Jordan said that is really pertinent to my discussion is the fact that we own our own data in the metaverse, right? That is a great point, and it's something that we talked about in actually one of the discussions I had for this webinar series that we created about the metaverse, and also talking about Web3 and the difference between them. And the first concept we kind of hit on was this concept of individualism, that in Web2, organizations own a lot of our data. And we've all gotten a bit frustrated by that, as you can tell from the news we got from Apple, with how when they turned on that privacy setting, something crazy like 92% of people did it or something. It was really high. Anyway, so in Web3, there's this opportunity for you to own your own data, meaning basically you get back that control of your data. But I think the issue with that that I think a lot of people recognize right now is it means that you also have to understand the security of all the different places we're going to go in the metaverse for you to know if you want to give them access to that data. So no longer are we going to rely on, say, Google or Facebook or some of these other, very large companies to make that decision for us. We have to go now to determine if we trust this cryptocurrency is going to be around next year. We have to trust that this NFT isn't going to be a rug pull. So speaking of NFTs, that's the first one that I started looking at in terms of the metaverse as Jorden said, it's critical that NFTs are understood because it is the future of the metaverse. And we're at early stages, but the problem that's happened with NFTs is that they've now become known for scams, which is really unfortunate, I think. But it's a great way to segment into how you need to be educating yourself on privacy and security in the metaverse, because that is now the new responsibility that we have. NFTs, when I first started looking at NFTs, the first thing I ran into was a concept called a rug pull. A rug pull is, it's what it sounds like. It's sort of a take the money and run type of experience. And it's lost a lot of people a lot of money. And so what I decided to do was, well, how can we help avoid this? How can maybe my company or somebody else attack the issue of a rug pull or just other types of scams that are in NFTs and start to educate people so they know how to protect themselves against these types of events. I put up this slide first because similarly we have issues in crypto. Just yesterday, I think Elliptic put this out, yesterday, March 29th. We found out that the Rona network was subject to a massive hack, the second largest in crypto. How did it happen? I'm still digging into the specifics of that. It seems to do something with one of their validators. But even for me to understand what happened for that is fairly complicated. The code that is being written for these things is not the only place of weakness. You can have weakness in how someone's using their own wallet or how the particular exchange is accessing your wallet. There's just a lot of different protocols that are being employed that are brand new and that now you have to educate yourself on. So I just briefly want to talk about the various pieces of the metaverse. Jorden already did a really good job of talking about this, but Jorden said, and I'm going to add on to that the metaverse is not Web3. They're not the one and the same, but they are very closely related to each other. And I think it has to go back to that. We own our own data. It's on the blockchain. There's obviously cryptocurrencies. There's NFTs. There's DAOs. We talk about identity. I see in the comments a bunch of chat going on about identity in the metaverse. Why do we need an avatar? Why can't we just have a physical representation of ourselves that's just put into the metaverse? That actually is a privacy issue if you think about it, because some people don't actually want to be known as, let's say, a woman in the metaverse, right? Meta had an issue earlier this year with a woman who was attacked when she entered the metaverse as a female avatar. And then finally, we have the regulation. And so these are the issues that I think about and cover when it comes to privacy and security in the metaverse. I know also when we were asked to talk about this, asked to talk for this webinar today, someone asked a question about women in Web3. I'm not exactly sure what the question was when it came to women in Web3, but I do think it's interesting to note that when you're talking about NFTs, for example, Twitter NFT is very active. And if you're looking for women in Web3, that's a place to go find them. But a lot of the NFT products that I see are based on Twitter and Discord. And so I'm going to keep going back to this. We own our own data concept, this concept of individualism, this concept of autonomy. And the reason I bring up all these different parts of the metaverse, the NFTs, DAOs, everything like that, as well as some of the providers, as well as some of the common places to go, is because this is due diligence. This is how you do your due diligence when you're entering into this space. And so really, I just wanted to give, there we go. I just wanted to give a few tips to end my part of this presentation. Is how can you keep yourself, or at least start to learn how to do privacy and security reviews for yourself in the metaverse. So I'm going to give you 5. I might actually go into 6, but I'm going to definitely start with 5. The first one is, and this is advice that I received from someone else. It was use trusted tools. Well, what does that mean? If you're talking about due diligence, how can you trust if you haven't done your due diligence? Well, what I think that means is go with tools that already have an established reputation. That might be a little bit more Web 2 coming into Web 3, but I think it's a fairly good piece of advice. The same thing goes to cryptocurrencies. There's a lot of cryptocurrencies these days. It can be very hard to distinguish between them all. We all know Bitcoin. And the advice that I received was, if you're going to buy cryptocurrency as the first one, buy a cryptocurrency that you've heard of before. You take it for what it is. This one I do 100% believe, which is never share your keys with anyone. That's a really, really good tip. Just going to leave it like that. A tip that every single security expert in the world you've heard over and over again, and it doesn't matter if you're talking about the metaverse, Web3, or whatever, have a very strong password. You know, we all hear use multi-factor whenever you can, but it's so true. Make sure your password is super, super strong. And what does that mean? If you're going to create a password that you cannot remember, write it down in a secure place. If you're going to put it in a password manager, I don't know if any of you saw that one of the password managers recently had a bit of a security incident called Okta. You know, make sure that you trust that online storage of your passwords. But I think most people would agree that storing your password in a secure place is a separate challenge. The password itself has to be very, very strong. Do your due diligence. In NFTs, there's a concept called doxing. I kind of like this concept because it's privacy forward, in the sense of, if you're not doxed, it means you're anonymous. And if you are doxed, it means that you have come out publicly about who you are. If you're buying an NFT from a doxed group, perhaps you have more trust in them versus buying an NFT from some group that is not doxed. And then I told you that's 5. I will give one bonus one because I think it's the funniest and yet also the most ironic tip that I received when I started getting into this space, which is, don't ever respond to a direct message on Discord. I don't know why. That makes it's just so funny to me that you're being asked to join this third party called Discord, and the first thing you get is a security tip. There's clearly something broken there, but I have joined Discord. I'm on a bunch of different Discords, actually, servers, and I've taken that advice very seriously. I don't respond to anything on a direct message. So that's all I have for you for today. Thanks again for having me. I look forward to any questions later on. And Alex, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Caroline. You know that our previous event, we have a cybersecurity, and then there are several cybersecurity experts, and then actually we turn into like some way to the metaverse security issues, and I invite them. So hopefully they join, and we'll have a discussion maybe in our panel discussion time. I think that's very, very important, and then we should not ignore the privacy and then like security issues in the metaverse. So we will get there later. Okay, so Mass, now it's your turn.
Thank you very much. Great talks so far. I really loved it. Now we're gonna move into the more closed metaverse. I believe very much in the open metaverse and Web3, but we are in a situation where companies does not feel the same way. So can you all see my screen now? Is it shared? All right. First of all, shortly, My name is Mads Troelsgaard. I'm CEO and co-founder of Synergy XR, and we want to be the leading platform for what we call the corporate metaverse. I'm gonna go back to what we mean by the corporate metaverse in just one slide, and just briefly gonna brief you guys about who we are in Synergy XR, where we come from. And we have also been in this game for quite a while. We're a founder team of Unity Studios. So we were founded by the founders of Unity Technologies back in 2008. We have been developing virtual worlds for some of the largest brands all over the world. And this has been also with augmented, virtual, and mixed reality applications. One of the first mixed reality developers in Europe as well. Won several awards for solutions. And of course, we are Unity developers, experts in this, and that have led us to the knowledge that we have today about what companies want and expect from the metaverse. And a big topic already for this day is security. And that is one of the main reasons why we also started to developing a platform back in 2008. So because we had NDAs with all these big companies, and they started to ask what are the other guys doing over there. So we started to bring them together in some networking groups where they could actually open up to each other, because we had these NDAs, so we couldn't tell them. But if they were in the same room, they could at least start talking and open up for each other, and if they felt safe about that. And we learned that they needed a platform where it was easy for them to create augmented, virtual, and mixed reality applications, and virtual worlds themselves without having to be programmers, without having to be tech whiz. And that's why we started developing this platform in 2018. And that's also where we got all the shares and back in the company from the former founders, and co-founded Synergy XR. The corporate metaverse, that's a secure, more closed environment for each company. They want to be in full control of their own data. Like they have, they want to be in full control of their own website today. They want to be in full control of their own intranet. They want closed environments. And of course, they need to also open up, but they want to be in full control of what they wanted to open up for. And that was something that we identified in these networking groups. And I think we can compare it directly also back, our thoughts behind this. We can compare this back to the early 90s, early zeros or late 90s, where every company needed their own website. So they went to a web agency and they got them to develop the website. And if then they needed to change something on the website, like a picture, a new underpage, or something in there, they had to go back to the web agency and they had to program it one more time. And these web agencies were then disrupted by the CMS systems, like Joomla, WordPress, Wix.com today, right? So they made it easy for themselves to create these websites. And that is the main thought about what we have created here. So a platform that made it extremely easy for them to build their own metaverse, but still at the same time in a secure environment. And as we see, the world is changing right now, especially after COVID-19. Everything, remote work is a big thing. Global workforce is also, really growing. And then we have these huge groups of older, so the silver tsunami, it's also called, a lot of older people going on pension. And they used to work in the companies maybe 10, 20 or 30 years. And all this knowledge is also in the risk of being lost right now. So we need to digitalize all that knowledge as well. So there is this huge need for the companies to collaborate a lot more effectively. And it's also about retention and alignment in a global workforce. They need to collaborate and communicate in a different way. And all of these things we can do with the metaverse, but still we have the security and privacy part of that metaverse. So what we also learned during the many years we've been working with these technologies is it's not about making the human world more digital, but making the digital world more human. And that is a mantra here that we live by, and it needs to be easier, or else it will never be implemented with success out there. And what we heard earlier from Jorden and Caroline as well, the whole infrastructure for the open metaverse, it will take time to build that. It will take time to gain the trust, especially right now when we see one hack after the other one, and things are being stolen, as you also mentioned. So I think those components it's going to take time to build that open vision of the metaverse and Web3 as well. And those components are just not there yet, but the companies still want to join these metaverse and gain all the benefits of the metaverse, and that's also why we have built this now, and it's an easy platform. I'm just going to jump straight to it. So what you can do on our platform today, like the CMS systems, is that you can upload images, videos, PDF files, but also 3D models, environments, and also 3D scans. So now today we had with our mobile phones, Apple and also Samsung have started adding 3D sensors, LiDAR sensors into our phones, which means that we can now scan the world. So as Jorden also says, most of the NFTs today is like images or something like created in there, but very soon we will also see them in 3D. I totally agree with that. And I think right now it's growing so fast, we can also just see it on Sketchfab. The amount of scans that comes in there and creations in 3D is growing massively. All of that content also needs a places to live, and that we have created for this closed environment for companies that made it easy for them to easily drag and drop and create their own augmented virtual and mixed reality worlds and save that, also save the scans. In our next release here, we also activate actually IoT data into our platform. So like Alex mentioned in the beginning, the digital twins. So now we can create a scan with our mobile phone or our HoloLens that will also be enabled. And we can do this within minutes. And that scan we can upload and save that scan. And for our next release, we can also add IoT data into that scan. So basically we can create a digital twin on the fly if you have the IoT data available, of course. But we can basically do it within an hour. You can do a whole setup of a digital twin, super easy, and of course in a closed, secure environment. The platform we built, yeah, you can jump in from virtual reality, use your devices for adding augmented, like IKEA place, you can place your furniture in your home. Here, it's just your own content that you upload and you can place it the same way. With HoloLens, of course, we can do all the classic stuff like remote support because, it's a device with cameras in it. It's easy to interact, jump in from PC. Also, virtual reality to HoloLens and PC to HoloLens and stuff like that. So you can collaborate a lot more effectively. And we are born visuals. You know, we really understand everything that is like the human world. That's easier for us to understand that. And with these technologies, it's just so much smarter and easier to collaborate in 3D. It optimizes the understanding so much more, especially also with a global workforce. So we can do training and onboardings in our environment within minutes and hours, instead of you have to travel around the world. Austin Consulting Group just sent out like this report not so long ago, like 2 weeks ago, where they had like all these dots, you know, what will come, the time to market, what can we expect within the next 5 years within the metaverse. And we just painted these dots blue because that's exactly what we are working on and what we can do right now in our platform. Of course, that will evolve over time, and as the technology and also internet, actually the access to the internet and 5G networks and that will, so the whole infrastructure will roll out. All of this will be a lot more accessible very fast. One of the cases that we have today that is growing is from this egg production company. They did produce these product lines for egg production. So right now today they use these technologies for collaboration. So they have like these technicians that comes in and help the workers out in the field. So they don't have to send out service technicians that could take 2 or 3 days to actually get on site to a customer's production line and help them solve a problem. Today, they can just do it within hours, where they connect to these workers and help them out solving problems, and can create virtual guides as well for the HoloLens. So, all right, we just solved problem number 31 on this machine. And after that, they can set up a whole, you know, step-by-step guide for solving that problem. And that's, you know, saves a lot of time, saves the environment as well, because you don't have to travel with the planes and stuff like that. And that really means a lot for the companies as well. Grundfos is using it. That's the world's largest pump manufacturer. They use it a lot for onboarding employees worldwide. In these closed groups where they invite them in, they have headsets out there and join for a onboarding session about learning about the products, learning about water, you know, the whole process of pumping up water and what the water treatment goes through before you actually get the water out in your taps. All of that, you know, is being used for the companies in these closed environments. And it's, again, super easy, but also super important for the companies that it is in closed environments. So I think that's it for me. And we can go back to you, Alex, and I'm looking forward to the panel discussion as well.
Thanks, Maes.
You're welcome.
I think that's very important point there, because we're starting from the general vision and future, and then some of the aspect of the open metaverse, and then we already experienced blockchain, right? We have we want like a vision of the DAO, like a completely decentralized autonomous organization, and then we think, oh, it's too much, right? It's too much in the vision, and then we also starting from in the narrow scope, like for example the private blockchain, like Hyperledger, right? The enterprise application, right? And then we apply more and more like open type of the like a public blockchain, and then more migrate, right? And then also business-wide, as we know in IT and digital, right? It's starting from the B2B, right? And then have a more focused group and experience, and then more migrate to more B2C and B2B2C or something like this. So we have a more mass deployment will be required. And so we are now in the Earth, right? From the metaverse universe, and then now in the Earth, right? And then finally, Dieter will talk about actual implementation aspect. So we will be in the completed now, right? Dieter, is it your turn?
Yeah, okay. So first, thank you for having me. And I thought, as we are talking now for almost an hour about the metaverse, I will also give my presentation from within the metaverse. So you could even see here our Zoom call, but I've prepared also some slides I can show you. And the great thing is really about the implementation. Technology already is there, it will evolve. And you see everything here is simply happening in my browser. So you could also join me here from your smartphone and everywhere. So, but I will, oh, sorry. I will now guide you through the slides. So the way to implement the metaverse. First, I will give you an overview what the metaverse is right now and what we have to consider for a future or for the evolving implementation from a technological point of view, what we can do from an organizational point of view, and also how to consider social and economical things which are very important because it was said before by Jorden and all the other participants, we need to focus on people, not on technology. So currently, if you read the definition from Wikipedia, that the metaverse is simply a network of 3D virtual worlds. Yes, that's true. But like in the real universe, we don't have faster than light travel. So the problem is we have independent worlds and it's hard to travel from one to the other. So the evolution happened during the last, let's say, 30 years. Neil Stephenson with Snow Crash created the concept of the metaverse. Like Jorden told us, Linden Lab Second Life came out in 2003, which gave us a first glimpse how the future metaverse could look like. I founded my company in 2017 with a focus on education. So to help, even back then, to help universities to bring people together in virtual environments. Then the more popular decentralized platforms like Decentraland, CryptoVoxels, the Sandbox appeared in 2020. And yeah, from last year onwards, the term metaverse is really everywhere, even without people understanding the concept. But 90% of all people have heard the word and have at least some ideas about it. So what have we to do, or we as tech people, what can we do to implement the metaverse? And I gave already here a small hint. It is not about the technology. Technology, currently we are using state-of-the-art technology, but this will evolve. We will have new technology available in a couple of years. But the big problem is we have virtual worlds which are not compatible to each other. Even if you buy an NFT, it's nice to have, but it's not guaranteed that you will be able to, we call it res, to materialize this NFT in different virtual worlds. So it means I bought a cool jacket. I know only 10 people on the or 10 avatars in the whole universe will have this jacket, but I can only use it in a small subset of all these virtual worlds. So the future implementation, like an open metaverse, has to take care of that, to make things open, based on not only on technology, but on standards. Technology, we have VR, AR, XR. In my opinion, it's nice to have all these technologies available. And for every technology, we have a proper purpose. For VR, for training sessions, for remote servicing, AR to visualize things in real life, which are not as there. We have a blockchain, we have the NFTs. The question decentralized versus centralized is, I think, only a marginalized questions in the future. And to be open, to be secure, we need a decentralized metaverse. But like I said, technology evolves. it's important, but we want to reach a whole lot of people. And so, yeah, we go. So we need, from an organizational point of view, we need standards. Currently, there are only a few people really engaged in creating standards for the open metaverse. And I don't think that especially the big players are really interested in these standards, because for them proprietary software is good, because it helps them keep their clients. And for the smaller players, I think it's a chance to differentiate themselves from the big players, to say, okay, we are secure, we have open standards, what you create in here is yours and it will stay yours forever. We need this interoperability. So if I create things, especially, for example, I build a beautiful home in a virtual world, maybe this is so nice that other people in other virtual worlds want to have it too. So it should be easy to transfer these models in a format where I don't have to take or think about, is it possible technically? We are talking about people, end users. It's like when you buy a car, it's nice to know it has a motor or an engine, but in the end, it only counts how much fun it is to drive that car, not how it's working. And of course, to reach that significant number of people, accessibility always will be an issue. So I'm not only talking about people with disabilities, but even right now, if you look at the generation between 10 and 20 years of age, 90% of their time they're accessing the internet, or if it's Web 2 or Web 3, from their smartphone. They will not run around wearing VR goggles. So the thing is, the metaverse itself, for me personally, I consider it to be a huge simulation of a virtual universe, which I can access from literally any device. So I can be part wherever I am. I can participate in events happening in the metaverse, but it doesn't matter if I have, I'm comfortably on my sofa wearing a VR headset, or if I'm riding a bus and access everything from my smartphone. So these are the things I think we should consider. This is our responsibility as creators, to allow as many people as possible to join our journey. So the thing is, it's about inclusion, not excluding people. It has to be affordable. So money should not be an issue if I'm able to participate in the metaverse. Also, economy and the commerce is good, but there should be things for everybody. And we need incentives to bring people into the metaverse. Currently, the numbers look huge. I think last week a statistic said already 500 million people visit the metaverse on a regular basis. Yeah, 450 million of them are more or less minors and teenagers playing Fortnite, Roblox, and Minecraft. So it means only 10% of the metaverse users currently are real adults like we are. And I think we really have to bring, or to give them incentives or a purpose. Why should they visit the metaverse and stay there? And this will be crucial to the implementation. So we don't need to think about just creating environments. We need to think about what are people supposed to do there. Just walking around as an avatar and looking at nice things might satisfy me for a week or two. So I remember my times in Second Life. It was nice to jump from region to region and look at things like in a virtual museum and so on. But I left after a couple of weeks because it was too boring. I gave it a second try a few months later, and the point was I met people there. And I was able to interact with people from all around the world with an immersive feeling to be or to share time in the same room. And I think this already is an incentive. And it allows me to interact with like-minded people. I can discuss, or we can talk about common hobbies, common interests, and no matter where we are located on this planet. And I think this is the real power of the metaverse, to be open, to be secure, and to be centered on people. Because people will drive the metaverse, not the technology. Technology is the tool you need to create this experience, but people will move it forward. So the thing, finally, not to talk for much longer, so the outlook is we need open standards, we need to focus on the people, and we have to give them a purpose to visit there, to stay there. And if we don't manage to bring all these pieces together, then we will have the current situation for a longer time. We will have a huge set of individual worlds, and people will be there again in isolated groups. And funny, because from the talk of Jorden before, I just added a little bit as an extra, not this one, just thank you for in advance, but I added here the current advertisings for Horizon Worlds, which is Meta's current implementation of the metaverse. And you see how it's looked like. And just to give you a brief glimpse into the past, this is what Second Life did 18 years before. And you will see there is not much difference. Okay, so I think I thank you for the attention. Thanks again for having me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to have a great discussion now in the upcoming minutes.
Thank you, Dieter. Wow. We almost spent 110 minutes, so we only about 20 minutes left. But if you allow, then we can extend them maybe 10 minutes or something like that. Because during the individual presentation, actually, if you look at the chat window, we have active discussion. So it makes me easier to go ahead about the panel discussion, because we already have a very, very, very good questions and also answers in there. So if you look at chat window, so to make our panel discussion more efficient, so I will select the questions from the audience in the chat window. So I think that we have active participants. I think that their question is very, very, very relevant and very in the deep level. So I select 7 participants. So they can join in active participant, and they can ask or the comment. I will give you 2 minutes. So you can have a question, and then if you need an answer, then you can pinpoint some speaker, or you can just generally ask. And then I select 7 people. I will announce you. One is Peter Person. You are the winner. You have most question is from you. So you are the first one and ready to give you a comment or a question. And then second is Michael Jason. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm here.
Okay.
Peter.
And third is Christina Maria. No, not available. Okay. And then next person is Hardik Shah. Are you there?
Hi. Yes,
okay.
Yes, I'm here.
You are the third. And next one is Swati Agra. Are you there? No? Okay, the next one is Jason Spalos. Are you there? No? Okay, the next one is Unho Che. Are you there? I can see your, okay, so hi. So he's a highly expertise in security and privacy. So he will raise a lot of good questions. And then so finally will be the, who is that? Who is that? Valentina, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you were the final. So finally, we select the 5 participants. So you will be the first one. Okay, so just starting from the Peter, why don't you have your time?
Yeah, it's just something that came up with in websites. One of the things that we're concerned with for businesses is web accessibility and ADA compliance. And it seems like the metaverse is going to break a lot of that. And what Dieter was talking about, inclusion, including everybody. How are we going to handle that?
Maybe I can start out here. I think, well, Dieter did mention that any kind of device, right, can be used. I think there's this, Meta has come out with this view that you have to use VR or maybe AR in order to be in the metaverse. And, you know, I think, you know, we looked at that back in 20 years ago, because if you think about it, VR actually is 50 years old. It's nothing new. I actually did VR when I was, I mean, even before I was a kid. It was popular in the malls. I remember it in the 1970s. But the, you know, the issue here is not having to use a particular format. It's being open to any type of you know, any type of device to give you access. Obviously, you know, the device has to be able to give you some kind of 3D view. But I mean, you could still go into the metaverse and you can chat, right? So you could, even if you don't have 3D, you could get into the metaverse and do things like we do today, right? The Web 2.0 world is pretty much 2D, right? It's pictures, videos, and text chat. So you could continue to do that in the metaverse. You just don't have the third dimension, but you don't need VR in order to get access. It just gives you a more immersive experience if you want it. So that would be my 2 cents.
Okay, back to accessibility. There are ideas how to help disabled people to navigate the metaverse, even in 3D environments. But the problem is there are no fixed standards for this. So currently it's on every developer how to incorporate the usually accessibility ideas and standards into the application. And the thing is, like with websites, some do it better, some do it worse. But of course, there needs to be the creation and the maybe the enforcement of standards for specific applications.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so next will be Michael. Bisher, Jason. Yeah. No one. Okay, then Hadi.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. I must say it is a great session today. My question is, there is a law, even though we call Web 3.0 as an open system and everybody has access to the tokenized system, Bitcoins or any other collectibles, NFTs, how will it impact if there is an internet connectivity problem, or some countries decide that we will not allow Bitcoin network or internet available in our country? Then if I own a Bitcoin, what will happen to me? It will not be an open in that case, is it? How does then overall global community would control that part?
Okay, I think there's a very good question. And if you do work with the developing world, it's a very important one, right? And there's actually quite a few different projects that I've worked with in the developing world where you don't have access. Hopefully that will change over time with satellite networks, right? So satellite networks, like we're seeing, for example, in Ukraine with SpaceX terminals, can give access that's harder to control, and it can be used in remote areas as well. A very early concept in decentralized networks is to use mesh networks, right? Where you can actually have maybe a central point, but then the overall network is from a mesh, right? So I think combination of satellites and mesh networks can help, but it's not going to solve every case. But there are approaches, and I'm sure other people have other ideas on this, but there are, you know, approaches that can help people gain access. And then you can have partial access, right? So sometimes you can be there. Many of the applications need to be able to cache information so that when you're offline, you know, your state is retained. And then, you know, when you come back, you can rejoin, and you know, you don't lose any information just because you're offline.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And then next, Unho.
Hi, everybody. So thank you for inviting me to here. So I'm security expert, especially biometric authentication expert, is because I'm inventor of FFA and Amazon Alexa, like Alexa turn on the TV with my personal patents. So my main question is, who will provide avatar security in metaverse? My mean is maybe everybody remember about Facebook Meta. During this session, they ask about if someone use your avatar, how to provide authentication you and with a digital human or hologram. So someone fake or hacked your avatar, hologram, and digital human. How can you identify the you? Okay, the other one is so we just talking about digital twin, and during CES 2022, so Samsung, Hyundai car, and Microsoft so have the same voice, like so your voice order to and metaverse. Please bring my coffee to my, so here. This means metaverse robot just connected the real robot in your smartphone and bring your coffee from coffee machine to you. How to connect chain of authentication, your voice work for you. And the owner is you, and the robot is already registered you. Then we just connected the chain of authentication to metaverse robot, and the real time your physical robot and the coffee machine, and bring to coffee to your office without door. Who will provide the chain of authentication with the voice authentication at the metaverse? Third one is, so I already shared my avatar security slide on chatting window. Please check and download. My question is, we just step by step to build avatar security in metaverse. My meaning is, maybe your first connection with your smartphone, your desktop, or head-mounted display, or smart glass. So do you still need ID password for metaverse, or touch your finger, or voice authentication with a gesture? Who will combine how many multi-biometric tools for your avatar in your metaverse? The other one is, so they have no hand. My meaning is, so I just provide my presentation slide for you, everybody. My meaning is, maybe they will have a globe like Oculus 2 by Facebook Meta. But this side is maybe haptic touch something, but this side is empty. My meaning is, if we have Avengers movie, Thanos, the glove with a special function like a fingerprint sensor on here, maybe we can use this as a functional key F1 to 10 on your keyboard. My meaning is this one is maybe I want to pay, I want to transfer, I want to access something. The other one is empty on avatar. This is empty. My meaning is if we give your one angel ring is a common user. 2 ring is a host, maybe by enterprise. Third one is maybe host, like a Dr. Lee in this our meeting. How about how to provide you have a security clearance, like a top security clearance with a government or enterprise secret? How your avatar provide you already have an invitation, secret invitation, like with a security meeting. If someone is like a hacker or espionage hacker, enterprise spy, how you can detect, how you can provide the evidence, like a forensic evidence about maybe this guy is a hacker. So my question is, who will provide the metaverse ID with a multi-biometric authentication to entering about your metaverse? How to provide your avatar provide, I have a top security clearance. Maybe you guys already have experience like a Disneyland. They have a white band on your wrist. My question is, how many avatar do you need for each avatar to the metaverse, like Roblox and Facebook Meta and Disneyland metaverse? How many avatar we need? How about if we have one band for the Disneyland metaverse, the other one is Facebook Meta, because they have still exhibition or concert and maybe not free. How about season ticket for your metaverse for 5 different metaverse access for concert? How you can provide you are owner of that ticket, season pass, anything. How you can provide you are already paid by your credit card number or your digital currency or CBDC Bitcoin. How you can save on your metaverse wallet, secure metaverse wallet on avatar or with avatar. Okay, so this is very short time. So last 3 years, I already researched and surveyed and reviewed about how to build avatar security. If Dr. Lee posting about the next event, so I will give my presentation maybe 20 minutes for discuss about this avatar security. Okay, my question is to you. Who will build, who will provide avatar security with the payment, authentication, and wallet? This is my main question.
Well, no, I think this is very, very, it's very in the deeper level question. And I think that you are the one actually to provide the answer because you already have an answer. you did research for a long time, as far as I know. So I think that you maybe, because of time limitation, we maybe have maybe I will talk with Laura about another metaverse, like
absolutely.
Yeah,
it looks like particularly
my meaning is so they talking about, you guys talking about metaverse, but do you still use ID password? How many avatar do you need? I already saw some make a public question to Ready Player Me and other metaverse platform provider. Okay, so if you created your metaverse avatar or digital human or the hologram, how you can input about the UIU with your gesture, maybe your fingerprint, or just a touch with a gesture. And
okay.
then
we got the question. I think that we got the question. Now we don't know if we do have the answer. Maybe if Alex, do we want you to ask kindly to our panelists.
Yeah,
if
maybe
they do.
yeah, we have option like because his question is so different level, and then I think
Yeah.
that he's the best person to give an answer.
Well, I just
But-
want to say one thing,
Yeah.
which is the answer is it depends.
Mhm.
And I know that's a typical lawyer question and a typical security expert question, but you gave a lot of use cases. And so it just is the best answer to your question is it depends. And then attacking each use case is a one-by-one sort of thing. I feel like Jorden wants to say something now.
Okay, so please read it. So find my site on LinkedIn, Uno Choi. So I already listed many questions and answers on LinkedIn. So sometimes more than 1,000 like and maximum 4,000 like about my metaverse, avatar security, and CBDC related my research topic. So please visit my LinkedIn and then make it easy to find about my answer about today's question.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we almost time. So I think that we will have one or more. How about Laura, one or more? Like,
please go ahead with the questions.
So I think that we have
to...
more like here some of the questions. So I want one volunteer. You show up and then you have your question or comment, like one or two. I can, yeah. Who are going to do next? Is there anyone?
Just
No
to choose.
Yeah, because you look at it, the window chatting. Yeah, it's a chat window. So there are many questions, and also the owner provide his link to his research. So if you are really tough thinking of serious about the security issues in Avatar, because for example, Avatar before Avatar actually we have a problem like interoperability, and then we know that there's some of the activities like for example persistence is a problem. And then avatar representation is a problem. Yeah, we have many issues to be fully grown, but we need to defer that discussion in the future event. Okay,
Make
so
a session dedicated just to this.
Yeah.
So
okay, so if no more question from the participant, I will give you some like a general, like for example, ask to the speakers that. It's a Laura question. Do you think that the metaverse vision will happen? And if it can be happen, when? Is your honest like your like insight or whatever the vision about that? So starting from Jorden, why don't you briefly talk about in a short time, and then we can finish up this event.
Yeah, I think, the metaverse is going to happen. I mean, it has been happening for quite a long time, as we've discussed. It's really, what is it going to look like, right? And is it going to be a continuation of Web 2? And, or is it going to be more Web 3? And I think it's hard to know, right? I mean, I think there's a lot of people who would like it to be more Web3 oriented, but there's a lot more infrastructure, as Caroline and Anho and Peter and Mads have all discussed, that there's a lot to build out, right? Because the Web3 ecosystem is younger. A lot of the different capabilities, like decentralized IDs, self-sovereign identity, a lot of the security-based systems, you can see how they're going to build out, but they haven't been built out yet. So it probably will take a minimum of, and then there's the interoperability issue, right? We can say we should be able to do X and Y and Z in all of these different worlds, but it doesn't even exist with the few metaverse groups that exist today that are considered open. So I would say it's probably going to take 3 to 5 years at a minimum in order to get to some of the vision that we've been talking about. I think like Mads and Alex, like you pointed out, if you start looking more at the corporate and where you have a smaller footprint, you're going to get a lot more innovation, in those areas faster because it's a more controlled environment. Actually, I have a book called Enterprise Blockchain Has Arrived, which is very much focused on enterprise. And I think, the enterprise is a great place to experiment and work with a lot of these technologies because it's a much smaller, footprint, it's a much more controlled area, and there's a lot less that you need to interoperate with, right? So I think, you know, corporate is a great starting point, and you're going to see a lot more of these things actually work in those environments before it goes. But it's going to be 3 to 5 years minimum, and then probably 5 to 10 years, you know, more mainstream. But it's still going to be worth trillions of dollars in a very short period of time because we're remaking everything. So it's a huge opportunity today, and it's going to be even bigger tomorrow.
Thank you. Caroline?
Yeah, I mean, completely agree with Jorden. Also, what Dieter said about this being a people, you know, metaverse is about people. And if you look at the normal adoption curve, people, you go from the early adopters through the mainstream, through the laggards, you know, like the typical crossing the chasm type of situation. I think we're still in the early adopter stage for a lot of the technologies like NFTs and DAOs and all those types of things that are going to make up part of the metaverse. So I agree. It's a good, I probably would have said more like 5 to 10 years because of the infrastructure and the computing power we're going to need. But I also think on the people level, the adoption, I actually think is quite fast, but we're still, I think, at the early adopter stage.
Thank you. Max?
Yeah, I totally agree as well with the other two, especially here, Jorden. It is easier in closed environments, and that's also where I think will take off. Even though also not only for the enterprise, I actually think in the closed environments will probably also take off for the more for consumers, but in still closed environments until we have, and probably the right way to start would probably be concerning the avatars, your personal avatars systems to get that up and running. But still, you know, you have secure, at least to some extent, secure technologies today on your mobile phone, how you use Apple Pay, how you log into your bank system. It's all this technology. We also have eye scanners, face tracking, and everything. Of course, these technologies will be built into the products as well. And also two-factor identification, and all this stuff will of course also be, you know, available in the metaverse. And I think, you know, those would be the first steps that we're going to see. And yes, Microsoft will come with their system, Apple will come with their system, of course Ready Player Me is also, you know, they will come with their system for integrating into these things. And but it will happen over, yeah, I believe, like Jorden said, the next 3 years, it will be very much in these closed environments, corporate environments. And then, you know, hopefully we can open more up as everything is being developed. But yes, 5 to 10 years for the where we're going to with the open metaverse in that stage. And I think that's a fair timing.
Thanks, Matt. Finally, Dieter.
Also, I have to agree with the other speakers. I also think it will reach mainstream in the next 5 to 10 years, but still it will only cover a certain part of the population, because for maybe for a specific part, especially for older people, maybe it simply has less appeal because it still would look like a computer game.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so thank you for everyone. It was my honor to have this kind of fantastic event with distinguished speakers and an awesome participant. Okay, so I did my job. So Laura, it's your turn. You can finish up.
Well, I can honestly say that it was really a very interesting session, and I see a bright future for us all who are working on technologies that need to be interoperable to find their best development. So I see a very bright use case for those who work on identity and reputation related stuff on the blockchain like TiiQu, because the metaverse will certainly have a huge need there. and probably will maximize its potential thanks to the trust that is derived. So that's fantastic. I think there is a lot ahead, and the first thing that I see in the pipeline is another metaverse-related event. Definitely a need. So thank you very much, Alex, for being such a great co-organizer, and to our speakers and to our audience who followed with the passion and with lots of interesting questions. I invite everyone to follow the tribe, the Emerging Technologies Tribe, and contribute there and possibly continue the conversation on the tribe. Thank you very much again.
Quick second. Hey, Laura, thank you very much. This is Sudhakar. Just would like to understand, like, I'm very new onto this technology, but how does Maya, the technology, comes into the place with, apart from, other technologies, Adobe, Maya, and all? Can someone explain me? I'm very new onto this technology. Adobe Maya.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't get the question. If it is for me or
okay, we will. Please, I request all of you that, instead of on this call, we can exchange that. There are a lot of things needs to be covered apart from blockchain and all the other technologies. There are other technologies which from ADF, Adobe, and all those things come in the place. So I'm trying to understand that. So, but this is a very good learning platform right now. Thank you very much, Laura, and all the participants. I appreciate it. Let's keep in touch. Yeah. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Laura, I think that you should finally mention that, because we're planning this kind of the meeting in the metaverse, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Yeah, in the future.
We invite. Well, Alex and I had this fantastic idea, but to take the TiiQu Talks in the metaverse. So if there is anybody who is willing to somehow contribute, collaborate, is a co-creation project, this, and we would like the sustainability, the Emerging Technology Tribe to contribute with what they can. So you are all invited to have a chat, and we plan a workshop with all those who want to contribute to make this happen, with possibly 3 spots: London, New York, and maybe Milano, since I'm Italian. And let's see if we can make it happen. Join me or Alex for further details on this point. And otherwise, let's meet at the next metaverse.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks,
very
everyone.
much. Thank you.
Happy metaverse.
Thanks, everyone. All right,
Thanks, everyone.
Alex, Laura.